Good morning. You are now live on our Z Productivity 360, the program that we've always been bringing to you over the past 11 months, discussing various productivity issues in the country and how they relate to various sectors of the economy. The program was launched in August by the Honorable Minister of Labour and Social Security, Honorable Brenda Mwikatambatamba. And during our initial discussion, we've tried to highlight how low levels of productivity can affect economic growth. We are all aware that Zambia is on a transformation agenda, and it is very important to place productivity central to this economic growth. As you know, productivity is a catalyst to economic growth. In the earlier discussions, we've brought different people from different sectors of the economy who have highlighted how productivity impacts on the work they've been doing. Last week, we brought the chairperson for the National Cooperative, which was, I think, recently launched, who gave insights on how cooperatives, if well harnessed, can contribute to economic growth and productivity improvement. So today, we have yet another discussion on productivity, and this time focusing on our youth. You are aware the importance of youth employment in economic growth and social stability. And so today it's a privilege to have this discussion. So my name is Yvonne Kanenga-Nawila, your usual moderator from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security under the National Productivity Development Department. And this morning, this afternoon, this evening, depending on where you are joining us from, we are hosting the Permanent Secretary for Ministry of Youth and Sport, Mr. Kangwa Chileshe, who is here with us to provide insights on youth employment. But before that, maybe just a brief background on the subject that we are talking about before I even call upon him. So youth employment is actually very critical in terms of driving economic growth and ensuring social stability, like I said. You are aware that majority of our African countries, and in fact globally, youth contribute or rather have play a very important role and a significant proportion of the population, especially here in Zambia. And yet, when we talk about youth, there are so many challenges that we can talk about in terms of employment. So high youth and employment rates, issues of skills mismatch, and issues of barriers to entry in the labor market due to lack of experience, limited access to finance, and just insufficient job opportunities. But we are also very aware that government has been making quite a number of significant steps to address the key challenges that are surrounding youth unemployment. Issues to do with the skills, improving access to finance, and just promoting job creation, supporting innovation and technology, and productivity enhancement program that we do from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. So with that background, allow me to give you a brief background of the Permanent Secretary who is joining us today. He's not a stranger to many of us here. He doesn't need a lot of introduction. I think we know quite a lot about him. He's a man that has been involved in working with young people for a very, very long time. First in the limelight as a youth himself in the famous Cabanana soap opera. I'm sure you remember that. So Mr. Chileshe is no stranger to advancing the interests of youth in this country. Mr. Chileshe has served as board ambassador for institutions such as the National AIDS Council, the Road Transport and Safety Agency, RATSA. He's a graduate of the Crest for the Nation Institute at Dallas, Texas, USA. Mr. Chileshe is not just a man of the collar, but currently oversees the domains of sport and youth in the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Kangwa Chileshe, on our Productivity Z360. And I must say that, sir, it's a very rare privilege for us to host you, knowing how busy your office is. So thank you very much for joining us, and good morning to you.
Good morning, Yvonne. I hope I'm loud enough and clear enough. But thank you so much. It's a privilege and an honor to be on your broadcast podcast today.
Thank you so much. So today we are discussing youth and
Right.
employment vis-a-vis productivity. So in productivity here, our emphasis is always on optimizing on the resources that are available, being efficient, being effective, and also just having a mindset of continuous improvement. We have a national productivity policy that was launched in 2021 that highlights different approaches that we can use. But much more, our focus on productivity has been the issue of a productive culture, the mindset issues. So this morning, it's not my show, PS, but what I want to do is just to give you this floor to say, first of all, what you want to say, and then I will pick up with you in the discussion. So this is a 1 hour program. We will discuss maybe for about 30 minutes, and then we'll be expecting questions on the chat box, on the YouTube chat box, and then I will read out the question for you to respond, and also just to provide comfort on what government is doing in terms of youth and employment. So I want to make you very comfortable to say anything that you want to say, and also give your insights that you are prepared for us regarding this subject, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Yvonne. Youth productivity is essential to national development. As you've rightly articulated, that Africa, Zambia, is part of the youngest continent. We're earmarked by probably 2030 and beyond to be the youngest continent on the planet. Therefore, we become the pool for resource. We become the pool where you can produce. You see a lot more, obviously, companies and corporates, international corporates, investing in Africa because you need the labor. You know, we know that there's the advent of artificial intelligence and there's ICT, but you can never replace the human element in everything that you do. Technology obviously can enhance it, but you can never replace it. That's just the God factor that God has given to us as human beings. A lot of key things that you've talked about in terms of challenges that the young people are facing. High on the agenda definitely is the issue of employment. But beyond employment, I think one of the things we're trying to do as government is to teach, propagate that it's not just about employment, it's also about empowerment and also education. I think those are critical E's: the issue of employment, empowerment, and entrepreneurship. A lot of times, a lot of young people have been wired to look for employment. That after you're done with your degree at university, then you look for a job. After your certificate, diploma, then you look for a job. But there are only so many jobs to go around. It's not possible that everybody will be employed. So therefore, we must encourage, especially in a country where the unemployment levels are much higher, we must encourage entrepreneurship, that entrepreneurs become the driving force that now create an opportunity for other young people. So that's very, very, very key. I think you mentioned the cardinal issue about productivity and the ability of maximizing the resources made available to us: capital, labor. It is essential. God has blessed us as a country, in that we are in a country where you have resources, a lot of factors of production readily available. You have a vast array of land. We have water. We're told that 70% of freshwater bodies in southern Africa reside in Zambia. Um, Beautiful weather, etc. So I think it's incumbent upon us as a country to look within ourselves, shift our mindset, and see how we can produce. Look at a country like Israel that is partially desert, but look at their agriculture. It's one of the best agriculture in the world. Look at a country like Egypt, which is mostly desert and only has two main rivers. They depend mainly on the Nile River, but yet has the most one of the most sophisticated irrigation and agriculture system in the world. So it's incumbent upon us as Zambians to look at the God-given talent that God has given us, which is number one, ourselves, and the opportunities that are around us, to look at how we can maximize everything around us. I think for now, I would delve into different areas, but I'd rather keep the conversation focused. I think for now, that's what I'd like to share, that I agree with you that opportunities are there, and there's a lot of significant things that a lot of young people are doing that rarely get the accolade and the appreciation of what they're doing. So I think maybe on your program we'll be able to highlight some of those. Are we good?
Thank you very much, PS. I think that is very important to note to start with. So you've talked about the issues of entrepreneurship and the issues of empowerment that rightly, are available for the youth. I also must mention that from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, when we talk about employment, we're talking about anything a person is undertaking for a profit or for a pay. And then it can either be self-employment, it can also be employment that you're depending on another person. But generally, the whole concept of employment is embedded in the issue of work. Work is any activity that a person is doing. And you've rightly put it that the focus on entrepreneurship in people, in the young people, is very key. Also, in terms of providing also employment. So if I am doing some entrepreneurship activities and I'm getting money of it, I must know that I am working and I must take that seriously. And from the National Productivity Development Department, we've been trying to push this agenda of telling people to say that employment is not just being in the office, but everything that your hands finds you to do, to earn a living, to get a pay, to get a profit, even for yourself, is something that you must pick on. From where you sit, Permanent Secretary, how is the response of the youth towards the empowerment activities or entrepreneurship opportunities your ministry is providing for the youth? Maybe you can highlight how the youth are responding to this and how they are willing to participate in these ventures, which eventually will result into employment creation, because they'll be able to employ other people through the activities that they're doing. And yeah, so how do you see the response from the youth through the intervention the ministry is providing for the youth?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Yvonne. The ministry is engaged in several youth empowerment programs that we're currently running in the ministry. One of the programs we're running is called IVAG. IVAG stands for Internship, Volunteer, Apprenticeship, and Graduate Program. Now, there was the element that you raised, the cardinal element that you raised when you talked about some of the challenges that the young people are facing. And one of them, you mentioned inexperience. And so the IVAC program is tailor-made to address the issue of inexperience. Because when you have a young person graduate from college or university, and they apply for a job, the first thing that usually an employer asks for is What is your experience? Now, how do they have experience when they are fresh out of university or fresh out of college? Because they haven't acquired that. So, what the ministry has done is to come up with an internship program where young people can be deployed in various line ministries, various companies, and organizations where they can begin to orient themselves with the workplace or the work environment, understand the work culture, get some experience. Unfortunately, I'll say this again, that in Zambia we have a bit of a challenge because we look at internship. Now, and I understand it's important. We look at internship from the aspect of a stipend. And so we reduce the power of internship to a stipend. How much money are you getting? For an intern, it's important to understand that the experience that they get and the the recommendation that comes on their curriculum vitae, their resume, is so valuable on the journey of success for their career. It's so invaluable, you want to call it, that they will need that. So the essence of the internship program is to orient young people to the marketplace, the work environment, to help them in their career. Those that have studied medicine to be in the medical environment and get the prerequisite experience. Those that are in finance or accounts to be in finance departments, accounting departments, and gain that experience so that when they leave, they and hopefully they can be absorbed into a company. But even if they are not, when they leave, they can go to another firm and say, look, I have the prerequisite experience because I worked at Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts for a year or two. So internship is not an end in itself. We don't advocate that interns should be interns for 3-5 years. Then it's lost its essence, it's lost its meaning. That's cardinal, that's key. So that's one of the programs we're running jointly with the United Nations Development Program. Currently, we have about 1,500 interns that we recruited last year. Their internship comes to an end this September. So these have been deployed in various parts of the country, all 10 provinces, and in various line ministries and in various institutions. That for us is a success story because they have that experience which cannot be taken away from them and will be part of their resume. That's number one. We have what we call the Graduate Kit Empowerment Program. The Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts has 23 youth resource centers that are dotted across the country. In these youth resource centers, we have skills development. Part of the skills development, we have courses such as tailoring, courses such as bricklaying, courses such as metal fabrication, courses carpentry, etc. We've even introduced ICT because now we have Starlink kits that we have now installed in most of the youth resource centers. It's ongoing. All of them have been allocated, but we're installing in all of them so that they can be able to have classes and learn online and see what other people are doing around the world. So from these youth resource centers, what happens is that when the young people graduate, we just don't add them to the queue or the job line. But what we do is that we give them equipment so that they can be empowered wherever they are going. Those that are in metal fabrication, we give them welding machines. Those that are in carpentry tools. Those that are in catering, chefing dishes, microwaves, or whatever utensils that they need to use, so that when they leave, because they have the necessary knowledge which they've acquired from the youth resource centers, they can now start their own business. They don't have to look for capital or money because they have the equipment, they have the knowledge, and therefore they can begin to be productive and obviously add to our GDP. That's one of the programs we have. We have another program called Youth in Transport. This is where you hear young people running our fuel tankers, where there's a fuel tanker program that oil marketing companies are running on behalf of the cooperatives. And through that, these young people are earmarked to be entrepreneurs in the oil and fuel business. We also have what we call the motorcycle or the motorbike program. This is where now we're empowering young people with a motorbike. For us, the motorbike program is very special because we feel it's more sustainable. The loan amount, these are loans that are given to young people. I must also say that the repayment culture in our country is something that we need to work on because we have generally let me use that word, a bad repayment culture, whether it's at CEEC, whether it's at Ministry of Youth and Sport and elsewhere. I think one of the things we have to be able to appreciate is that these things are supposed to be revolving funds. That the reason why government capacitates a particular young person with equipment is so that you can utilize that equipment, pay back, so that somebody else has an opportunity. But every time that a young person doesn't pay back, you are robbing hundreds of other young people behind you from the same opportunity that you had. So the issue that Nivaboma, even Vaboma, you can just use it, Nivaboma. So that becomes a little bit challenging. So we have various mechanisms that we've employed to ensure that that doesn't happen. Of course, ensuring the assets is one of them. Ensuring that a lot of times we don't actually give funding in terms of finances as a ministry. Would rather give you the equipment. Ensure the equipment, know your place of location, and ensure that, when you default, we may recover the asset, because then we realize that maybe the young person may not be serious. But sometimes we find that the young person has genuine challenges. If we find that that's the case, we're able to restructure the loan. We're able to restructure it in such a way that we accommodate that young person and the challenges that they're having. But the difference, I think, with the youth empowerment we're doing now is that we want to handhold the young person and not just give you something and then leave you to run on your own, because it may be challenging. Those are some of the programs that we have in the ministry. We have what are also known as youth scheme. The youth scheme basically is where we give grants from about 500 to 5,000 kwacha. Now that sounds, it sounds unnecessary, but I will tell you this, that depending on where you're coming from, I think a lot of times for those of us that are exposed to internet and urban life, it's like, okay, what a waste, but it's not. In villages and in rural parts of our country, those that have traversed extensively will tell you that there are a lot of challenges out there, and there are young people that have potential, and all they're looking for is a 2,000 kwacha to start their tomato business. All they're looking for is a 5,000 kwacha to start something small. And so we can't give them a loan and say, here's 5,000 and you pay back the ministry and all that. So those are considered as grants. We do that to be able to empower young people who are in desperate and adverse circumstances, and they just need a boost. They just need some kind of help. We do that, and we've done that for hundreds, if not thousands of them by now. Those are some of the youth empowerment programs we have in the ministry. We also what we call the multi-sectoral youth empowerment program. The multi-sectoral youth empowerment is the one that cuts across, where if a young person, for instance, wants to start a car wash business, we enter into an agreement, and we procure car washing equipment for the young person, ensure that you've got a place where you are meeting, or a place where you're running your business from, assist where, for instance, if we say, okay, fine, you need a bit of running capital, we assist, maybe pay the rent for that particular year, have you start up, and then we agree to say, this is the loan amount, and this is how much you must pay back. These loans, I must say, are almost, you're talking about 5 to 10%. All you give back is 5 to 10%. You get 10,000 kwacha, and you pay back 1 bin, or 500 kwacha. This is for a serious person. This is not much. You get a motorcycle, and you use this motorcycle for your yango delivery. You generate income. The value of most of those motorcycles and that for us is about 30,000 kwacha. So it's a 30,000 kwacha loan, and we give you 2 years to pay it back. And in that 2 years, you pay 10%. So out of 30,000, you pay 3,000 kwacha on top. I mean, it doesn't get better than that for a young person. But you're able to make more money because we've done our assessment that you could actually make some money to sustain yourself, and you can also make some money to pay back the loan. And once the loan is paid, then you're off the hook, as they say. These are some of the youth empowerment programs that we have at the ministry, that you can come to the ministry and take advantage, take an opportunity to maximize these. I know that there are other things that are available to you, even through local government, through CDF, and many other youth empowerment programs at Science and Technology. I know there's the Innovators Fund there, sitting there, and so many other government institutions. But for today, I'll talk primarily on the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Arts.
Very, very important programs, PS, that you have shared with us. I hope the youth are participating. We did quite share this program to a number of them, but then it's also on YouTube, so it remains available for the youth to follow through and see what kind of opportunities for them are available for them. I'm happy to hear about everything else, and also wish to inform you, PS, that from the National Productivity Department, our role is to inculcate this productive culture in anybody who is doing anything for their lives. So we also have a number of programs that we can complement what the ministry is doing, especially through this mindset change program we are running. It would be good to collaborate for the youth so that whatever they do, they take it very, very seriously. I am happy you did highlight a number of countries that are more worse off than us in terms of the availability of resources. So if we can maximize on the resources that we have, maximize on the opportunities that are being provided through various institutions and the Ministry of Youth, I think we can have a good number of youth well engaged in empowerment and consequently creating these necessary jobs that we are looking for. The other thing that I want to follow up with you, PS, is the issue that you started with, the issue of digitalization. I know we are having very bad experiences in Kenya, for example, right now, where the Gen Z are using this social media to mobilize themselves, to venture into a protest. Okay, so how can our youth optimize on this digital, platform to enhance their capacities or even enhance their employability? Are there any insights you can share with us regarding the issue of digitalization or AI, vis-a-vis youth empowerment? Are our youth taking advantage of this platform to empower themselves to better their lives?
I think you've brought up a very, very, very important point, Yvonne. The aspect of digitalization. This generation, the Gen Z generation, is um, living at a very privileged time. Look at this. Instead of having an interview in my office, or I being in your office, we're having an interview online, and the audience is listening to us from the comfort of their offices, comfort of their homes, comfort of their vehicles. I hope you're not driving while you're doing that. But from wherever you are, you're able to do this, meaning life has become more cost effective. Because being a TV guy myself, to have an interview like this, you would have needed a studio, you would have needed me to come there, drive there, you would have had to drive there, you would have had to take your audience there, etc. All kinds of sophisticated cameras, lights, etc. But here we are, some people using their mobile phone, I'm using my computer, and you're using your computer over there or laptop, and we're having this. So young people can take advantage of that. That social media should not just be a place where you post nice pictures. As much as we appreciate your nice pictures, I think the mindset should be, how do you monetize your social media? That's very key. And sometimes as young people, we shouldn't be victims of somebody else's success. What do I mean? There are a lot of young people who are on YouTube, for instance. And if you look at their following, they have millions of followers. They've got thousands of followers, and they create entertainment. They make you laugh, they make you happy, they make you upset, they make you talk about them, whether good, bad, or ugly. You're still talking about them. You're watching them. But while you're watching them and spending your precious bundles and data watching them, they've monetized their YouTube. They've monetized their Facebook. That every time you are streaming them, every time you're watching them, they're putting money in their bank account while you are wasting your time just sitting and just watching. Now, some of it is good and productive because maybe they're teaching you life skills, teaching you ABCD, and you need the information. But all I'm saying is that you have an equal opportunity, because that's what the internet does. The internet gives all of us an opportunity to be able to utilize it. It's not going to choose to say you're black, you're white, you're from Africa, you're from here. It's to everybody. So what you decide to use it for is up to you. So if you're a person who is braiding people's hair and you're a hairdresser, you can use your digital space, your Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Facebook. You can use that to market your product and make yourself productive and utilize that. Your product, your talent is not just limited to Zambia, but it transcends different borders. So you need to look at your internet, your YouTube, your Facebook, and ask yourself, how do I use this to enhance my life? When I am spending my precious time and bundles, do I go to YouTube and get necessary tutorials that help me in my music skills, that help me in my mechanic skills, that help me in my electrical engineering skills, that help me in my entrepreneurship skills, etc.? That is very, very important. E-commerce is the future. Some of the most wealthiest individuals on the planet, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Bill Gates, etc., have gotten their wealth through ICT, through software, through software apps, etc. So I think it's something that we need to take advantage of. And I know a lot of young, enterprising Zambians are utilizing that. And those that are, kudos to you. I appreciate that. And I think sometimes we say a lot about what young Zambians are not doing, that we forget to appreciate what a lot of young Zambians are doing. I know there are a lot of young Zambians out there that are pushing, that are creative, innovative, that have their own apps running, that are monetizing their digital space, and you're doing a marvelous job. And we appreciate that. And as a ministry, we always honor you and applaud you.
The last point from me, PS, has to do with the issue of climate change. Issue of climate change resilience. I think it's not a secret that we are suffering, or we are actually experiencing the effects of climate change in our with our drought, issues of water, electricity, and many other things. And yet I know that there are many opportunities around the issue of climate change that entrepreneurs can take advantage of in terms of how they can sell. For example, I don't know if they call them carbon, points, and many other things. So I do not know if our youth are currently are looking out for such kind of opportunities. Someone said that to every disaster, to every crisis, it's an opportunity. I mean, for an entrepreneur to step in and probably just see how they can leverage on the situation to better themselves, and also to come up with other innovative ideas. So I just wanted to get some the feedback from you regarding the resilience of our youth vis-a-vis the issues of climate change. And then I have got 3 questions that I will ask from the platform after you've given me those insights on the issue of climate change, PS.
The issue of climate change and us as a country adapting is essential. We, you know, these are things that we as a country should have done much earlier, but it's never too late. Um, Look at the issue of, let's say, just power. We've been dependent on hydroelectric power forever, for the longest time. And now we have a challenge, obviously, because of the drought situation, the Kariba water levels being low, and therefore we're unable to generate sufficient power to go around. Therefore, we have power outages or power cuts. Now, yes, that is a challenge. We need to face this challenge head on. Now, the only problem I have sometimes with us is that when God gives us the rain and we're back to full swing with the Kariba, we're going to stop being innovative in terms of solar and other sources of energy. That's the only disadvantage we have. I'll give you an example. The issue, for instance, of cholera in our country, or the outbreaks of cholera, the yearly outbreaks of cholera, is a mindset issue. It's a mindset issue because cholera is a waterborne disease. We understand that cholera is usually as a result of unhygienic conditions, open pit latrines or open latrines, careless disposal of garbage, shallow wells, not boiling your food, etc. We understand that by now. And so when we have an outbreak and a crisis as a country, we remember to wash our hands, we remember to boil our food, we remember to stop shallow wells, we remember a lot of things. And then when cholera is not there, we go back to throwing garbage all over the place. We go back to the usual throwing plastic in drainages and stopping those drainages. So now you've got still water, which becomes a breeding ground for disease. So we need that mindset shift to understand that even when things are good, we need to invest ourselves. Yes, when there's a crisis, we're forced to do it. Nonetheless, even when there's no crisis, we should have the fortitude, the passion, the mentality to ensure that this is done. It's like a person who only, you see someone at the hospital and they only eat fruits when they're sick. And when they're out of the hospital, they're not eating fruits. They're back to burgers and fries. Now, I like burgers and fries, but you can't eat burgers and fries. You need to go to the gym. You need to work out, and then you need to have fruits, whether or not. Now, someone said, "No, they're too expensive," and all that. It's all about lifestyle. It's all about lifestyle. Vegetables, I think are cheaper than some of the greasy stuff we like to eat. What is it? It's all about the mindset. So what are we saying? Yes, we have a crisis. Yes, we have a disaster. On the other side of the disaster and the crisis, we have an opportunity. The opportunity is that we need to diversify as a country into other sources of energy, such as solar energy, such as wind energy, such as biodiesel. All these wastes that we put, taking all that waste, including cow dung, goat dung, and all that stuff that is all over the place, harnessing that energy, harnessing that resource into energy for productive use. At a later stage, other countries use nuclear energy, Europe, America, etc. But we must believe that we have sufficient brain power at university, college level, that we could train and expose to the level of science where we can harness uranium and use that as a source of energy for good. All these things must be there in our minds. All these things, as Zambia at 60, we're supposed to be thinking that far. Our friends in Ghana are already making cars. Our friend in Rwanda have already made cars. These are young people. So what's to stop young people from Zambia from making or producing a vehicle, making or producing a motorbike? We need to have an educational system, which we're working on, a curriculum that we're working on that opens. The president has been talking about this. The president has been talking about young people learning enterprise and entrepreneurship from school. Having curriculums where you understand mining at school. The vast majority of our revenue as a country is mining, but only about less than 20% of our young people are engaged in the mining sector. The majority of our young people, which is about over 20%, I think mining should be around 18%, somewhere there. And this is that I'm talking small scale mining as far as the youth are concerned. But we need the youth to be engaged in mining. We need the young people. Let me put it this way: we need young people owning mines, emerald mines, gold mines, copper mines, etc. We need young people thinking in those lines and beginning to educate themselves in that direction, so that 10, 20, 15 years from now, young people, you're the next ones who are owning the copper, the Concolas, the copper mines, the Mopanis, the Lumanas, etc. We need to be shifting and thinking like that, owning or partnering, whichever you want to call it. But there's no limit to who you can be, because after all, everybody else that owns something out there is also human just like you. So we need that. The next sector is the agriculture sector, which is the highest sector. It's the highest employer for young people, followed by trade and commerce. Young people are in trade and commerce. That's also fine. So energy, solar, hydro, yes, it's important. We're used to it, but we need to diversify. Climate change, yes, has changed the way things are done in the world, and we have to recognize that. Some people don't believe in it, but it's real. It's here with us, and we have to deal with it. We're part of the global family, and therefore it does have a global approach. But we also, as a country, must begin to take initiatives of how we begin to overcome some of these challenges, such as drought, which will adversely or has affected our food production. We know that about 84 districts in our country are affected by the drought situation. So we need young people to come up with resilient, innovative, creative ideas in the agricultural sector. Give us, drought-resistant crops, drought-resistant seeds. What are the ideas? What ideas are you young people putting on the table? I think that young people are the pool, the rich reserve, and the answer to the questions of the challenges that this country has. Young people, you think outside the box. You're energetic. You've got the ability to dare to do it. And so we need to harness you. We need that, and not using your ability in drug and substance and alcohol abuse. We need to take that creativity, that ingenuity, that innovativeness, and harness it and see where we can take our country. You're not the future of this country. You are the present of this country. And if you will engage, if you will find your place, whatever that place is, and begin to be productive in that space, trust me, Zambia is definitely going to be a better place.
Very, very important PS, and very well articulated. So let me just try to read a few questions that I have here. You will pick them and then maybe package them in terms of your closing remarks. So the first question I have on the chat is that when next are the recruitment for the IVAG program? Then the second question says that how does the government intend to further spread the measures adopted, such as the guaranteed graduate program, to various line ministries, as well as other sectors of the economy? Then the other one is saying that...
I didn't get the second one.
Okay, sorry. So the second one is... how does the government intend to further spread the measures adopted, such as the guaranteed graduate program, to various line ministries, as well as other sectors of the economy?
Okay.
Then the third one. So the third one says, does the ministry facilitate for exchange visits for youth that are doing well in projects that are successful? Does the ministry facilitate for exchange visits for youth that are doing well in projects that are successful? Then can the PS highlight the selection criteria for internship program? And the PS highlight the selection criteria for internship program. And the last one, what procedures must be followed for the multi-sectoral youth empowerment program for young people fresh from university? What procedures must be followed for the multi-sectoral youth empowerment program for young people fresh from the university?
I think five is good for now.
Yes, I think five. Yes. The others are just comments that we have received from the group, and just appreciating this kind of discussion because it's been very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yvonne. I'm glad you're listening. I'm glad you're listening. Zambia is a beautiful country, and being born in Zambia is a privilege. It's a very, very huge privilege. We 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 thank God. It's a haven of peace. You look at BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, and you look in countries where young people can't be productive because there are wars there. Young people can't be productive because there's political strife, etc. And so it's important to appreciate one of the best gifts that God has given us as a country. Apart from the rich resources of agriculture, land, vegetation, wildlife, is the peace we enjoy. Zambia is a peaceful country, and being in a peaceful country means you're able to do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. So we need to cherish that peace that we already have. You need to look at how investors. You have people coming from Brazil, coming from the U.S., coming from England, etc. All these countries, and they leave the comfort of their countries to come to Zambia and set up farms, set up manufacturing businesses, so that they can live a more comfortable life where they're coming from. So if people can do that journey to your country, then we as Zambians must take a look at what God has given us and take full advantage of it, from the peace to the resources and our citizenry. That your national registration card is a gift to you, because you can use that to partner with an investor who has the money, you have the citizenship, and do some type of business. But on to our questions. The next recruitment for IVAG will probably be in the year 2025. The reason for that is this: we are restructuring the IVAG program to two different programs. We're going to have what is known as a fellows. We haven't even come up with the actual name for it, but it's going to be a fellows program. What is the reason for this? We've learned key lessons from other countries that have been having a similar program like IVAG. Remember, I said it's internship, volunteer, apprenticeship, graduate program. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to segment them. We will have a component that's just an internship program. So it's internship, you're there in a ministry, you're there in a company for about a year. Hopefully we'll even have more numbers than we did last year. You're there for a year, you're working there, you're learning, you're getting the necessary experience. So it's going to be its own program, volunteer program. We're going to have, internship program. Then we're going to have a volunteer program. Now, internship and volunteerism are two different things. They're two different things. When you're an intern, basically, you are in this space. You are earmarked to hopefully work in that environment, or that type of environment, and you're preparing yourself for the job market. That's one thing. Volunteerism is different. You could be in a job, like I have, I am here as a PS, but I could volunteer in the health sector to do something. I could volunteer at the Ministry of Labor and say, look, I'm going to offer my services for free. So we need that, because there are a lot of gifted people. There are people with resource, with knowledge and skill, that may feel they want to volunteer in the sports sector, they want to volunteer in the arts sector, they want to volunteer in different spaces. Volunteerism is important. It is a mark of patriotism in a nation. And therefore, volunteerism must be encouraged. A lot of what we experience today, even the political freedoms that you experience, were achieved by people who volunteered. Dr. Kaunda was not getting a salary to fight the fight for independence. He was a volunteer. Simon Mwansaka Pwepwem, Arimwanga Nkumba. That was volunteerism. So that was volunteerism in the political space. But you can volunteer in other strata, in other aspects. So that for us is very, very key. The fellows program is mostly going to be for graduates, because when we had some of the challenges that we had with our IVAC program, which were stipends and this and that, our cooperating partners assisted us by giving us advice to say, look, one of the challenges is that sometimes cooperating partners don't like to give in a lump, where it's just like everybody's lumped in the same group. But there are certain organizations that are primarily looking at sponsoring an internship program. Others just want to sponsor a graduate program. Others just want to sponsor a volunteer program or apprenticeship program, whatever the case may be. So that's why we're working on restructuring it, only because we want to serve you better. One of the challenges we've had is young people saying, look, I have a degree from University of Zambia or Mulungushi University. Why am I getting the same stipend as somebody else who doesn't have a degree and maybe they just have a certificate? So those are the challenges. So say, okay, fine. For graduates, you have the fellows program, and you're in. You go into a particular company firm, and you are working, quote unquote, at a level where that is commensurate to your qualifications. So you're not just a graduate from university and you go into an office and you're making coffee or tea. If you're an engineer, you're doing stuff in engineering, challenging yourself, bettering your skills. If you are in medicine, at least you're practicing at certain levels. We know you can't practice without a license at a certain level, but you're actually doing something where your degree is actually being put to good use. So that's the next level. When is the graduate empowerment program going to other universities and learning facilities? I would like to encourage other ministries to adopt it, but it's very difficult for me to say because I only have jurisdiction in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts with our youth resource centers. And so that's one of the programs we have. And so, but that's a challenge for us. I would definitely propose it to my minister and propose it to cabinet secretary to the cabinet through secretary to the cabinet, to be able to pitch this idea to see how we can empower young people in other learning institutions. So I would definitely advocate for that because you've put it in my mind. Exchange projects. For those young people that have successful projects. Young people that have successful projects, we want to know about your ideas. Come to the ministry, come share your idea. We even have opportunities where we actually ask you to come before management of the ministry and you actually present your idea, whether it's science, whether it's art, whether it's agriculture, whether it's whatever it is, whatever that idea is, we'll give you an opportunity. And once we see that, we would like to put you in contact with the necessary people, institutions that can be able to fund your idea or expose your idea to people that can fund your idea. So yes, we do have exchange programs. We even do sponsor young people to go to other countries and also showcase the idea. When there's youth symposiums and youth gatherings, we sponsor you, air ticket accommodation. You go there, go pitch your idea, then you come back. Where youth exhibition, enterprise exhibition, we do help facilitate that. And we do have our own youth indabas and youth conferences where we ask you to come, we give you a stand, and then people come to see that. Politicians, corporate captains of industry, etc. That's some of the things that we do. So we want to see your idea. We want to highlight your idea. And mostly, I hope you're patenting your idea. I hope you go to PACRA because that is intellectual property. You don't want someone to steal it. You want to be able to safeguard it and protect it. What is the selection criteria for the internship, graduate, apprenticeship, volunteer program? The criteria is that you have to be a bona fide Zambian. You have to be a Zambian with a green national registration card. You have to be a youth. According to our constitution, youth runs from 18 and 34. So that's the youth gap there. You've got to be in that space. For any empowerment programs that we undertake as a ministry, whether it's graduate kid empowerment, whether it's multisectoral youth empowerment, whether it is volunteer apprenticeship, etc., you have to be a youth. And so if you're older than a youth, then we will refer you to our sister ministry, the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise Development. They have a lot of programs earmarked for you. Remember that it's one government. It's one government. So if we refer you to Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, we're not throwing you away. We're just telling you to go to the next room in the same house. So there's room enough for you there as well. We have the Ministry of Community Development and Child. For everybody that is under 18 and you're a child and we need to look at your welfare, etc., we are going to refer you there. And there's more than enough programs there to be able to assist. So the criteria is basically you have to be a Zambian. We understand that sometimes we have Zambians who don't have necessarily a degree, a certificate, and a diploma. You come in under the apprenticeship. You could come in and be an apprentice, let's say in a garage, and learn some mechanics, learn something, and then after your apprenticeship, you're able to fix cars. And obviously, we do hope that you will formalize at some point, but at least you need to acquire the skill and be able to make your life a little bit more productive. What prerequisites for multisectoral youth empowerment? Number one, come to the ministry. Number two, if you're not in Lusaka, you can always go to your provincial administration. In your provincial administration, just ask for the youth development coordinator. The youth development coordinator should be able to guide you, to give you forms. The forms are not complicated. They're not bank forms. We're not asking you to do a sophisticated project proposal. It's very simplified. And if you can't write in English, you write in Bemba, Chichewa, Tonga. It's acceptable for us as a ministry as long as we can read it. It's your NRC, it's your details. They're on that piece of paper. It's about 3-page paper. That's all you need. Once you apply, then you are called for interviews. Part of the interview is just if you say, for instance, you want to start a chicken run, we're going to ask you, where would you like to start the chicken run? No, I don't have space for a chicken run, but I have this space that I can use to rent out. Okay, then we have a team that is going to come down and see exactly where you want to set up, see how viable the idea is. Then an appraisal committee sits together and approves and says, okay, fine, we will fund this barbershop, we will fund this salon, we will fund this internet cafe, etc. So for us, we've made it simple because we understand that the more complex it becomes, the more we kind of push away a lot of our young people who may not want a thick page of pen and paper to, in order to apply for something. We don't want it to be discouraging for you. But the opportunities are there, and what we don't have in the ministry, we will show you which part of government or where to go, where you can access what you need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, PS Kangwa Chileshe, for this very insightful information that you have provided for the public. I am very hopeful that somebody somewhere is going to take advantage of this program and this your appearance for himself. It's been a very good, 1 hour spent with you, with a lot of information that we have also learned and a lot of opportunities for collaboration. So government is committed in all the bedrooms, including the bedroom of the Ministry of Labor through the National Productivity Development Department. We're also working on the work-based learning bill to ease the issue of internship, apprenticeship, and many others we'll be collaborating very soon on that kind of program, so that we make these internship programs sustainable, for our country. And also, a lot of collaboration is required by the private sector, and any well-meaning citizen is free to join hands with the Ministry of Youth to ensure that we all provide the service and benefit from the service that is being provided. But what is very important, a takeaway for the youth, is that opportunities are available. And government, through all its bedroom, are willing to support you. So all you need is to avail yourself and push, for what is good for you and what has been provided. So you have our back as well, in ensuring that whatever we do culminates into employment for the youth and also for the others. So from me, I've been your moderator. I've enjoyed this session. It will be available on this YouTube channel. You can share it with your colleagues so that they can listen and take advantage of this opportunity. So my last remark is just to thank you again, PS, for appearing on our show. And we will be calling on you for many other productivity kind of program in the future. I hope you'll be available again as you have been with us.
Thank you so much.
Please have a blessed day, and we look forward to having you again. And thank you, our viewers. Our next Productivity Z360 talk is on the 6th of August. We are most likely to feature the Director for National Science Center, who will bring us more insight. We'll keep you posted. So subscribe to this channel and also click on the notification button so that every time we go online, you will be notified. So for now and from me, stay blessed and be productive. Thank you.